Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction and haunted entertainment industry. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And this week we're actually kind of revisiting last week's topic.
Yeah.
Because we did the topic, we did the whole thing last week about what your marketing has to answer and basically what you need to include in everything you're sending out. And I realized I mentioned the B word.
Yes.
Branding. We mentioned it a couple of times.
We did.
And then I realized, I should say, we actually haven't done an episode on haunt branding.
No.
Which, anyone who spends time around me, and I'm sure Crystal will vouch for this, knows, I pretty much have branding Tourette's. I will sit there and I will talk about, we'll be watching TV or something, and a commercial comes, that's terrible branding. Oh, that's good branding. So on and so forth. I mean, branding is right up there with what happened to all the rum and things that I say far too often. So
that's fair enough.
But anyways, we have, first and foremost, definitely do take the time, if you have not already, follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. We are Haunt Weekly on both. We're still working on the big and new and improved website. We've just had some technical issues with it, but we are still working on that. Hope to have that launched very, very soon. In the meantime, though, conference reminders.
Yes.
Crystal, it is your turn to kick off, so please do the honors.
Okay. First up, July 29th and 30th, Midsummer Scream, Long Beach, California at the Long Beach Convention Center. Features presentations from Not Scary Farm, Six Flags Fright Fest, the Queen Mary's Dark Harbor. It also features 14 mini haunts. As we've said before, we would be so glad to be able to go to something like that.
Yeah, the Hall of Shadows, as they're calling it.
Which sounds awesome. And midsummerscream.org for more info there.
Yes, indeed. All right. After that, on August 1st, one day only, the Haunted Attraction Network Leadership Symposium, Innovation and Interactivity. It's in Buena Park, California, held at Knott's Berry Farm, which we know as Knott's Scary Farm.
Yes.
The goal of this is to help attendees create an interactivity plan. Speakers will be from various local haunts and will include John Cook from Knott's Scary Farm, Brian Llewellyn from the Queen Mary, some of the familiar names from up above, and of course Leonard Pickle from Entrepreneurs and just about every other goddamn haunt-related business on the planet.
Yeah.
He's like a ginger bush. He just turns up everywhere. It's crazy.
Yeah, those things grow anywhere. Anyway, where can they
fail to grow ginger?
Yeah. Where can they find out more about this?
At HalloweenAttractionNetwork.com, yes.
All right. Then August 5th and 6th, we have Scare LA at the Los Angeles Convention Center in the West Halls. There'll be over 200 vendors and mini panels on the haunted attraction business. ScareLA.com for more info there.
Then we have the East Coast Haunt Gathering, also August 5th and 6th. So if you're on the West Coast, you're going to Scare LA. If you're on the East Coast, you're going to go to the East Coast Haunt Gathering. It's in, I cannot possibly say that town name, Billerica, Massachusetts? It's in Massachusetts.
Yes.
Right? At the Courtyard Boston, Billerica. You can learn more at hauntclub.net.
Yes. And then, August 25th through 27th, there's Halloween and Haunt Fest in Dallas, Fort Worth at the Mesquite Convention Center. HalloweenandHaunt.com for more info on that.
All right, and then September 8th through 10th, you have Mask Fest in Indianapolis, Indiana, at the Marriott in Indianapolis East. What's with all the East hotels? But anyway, it's all about makeup effects, mask making, all that yummy, yummy stuff. Learn more at maskfest.com. Maybe a great place to pick up a last-minute addition to your haunt before opening.
Right, and as we discussed last year, remember that whenever you're trying on all of these awesome masks, don't spread your germs.
Yeah.
It's right before season opens.
Yes, please, please, please.
All right, then October 14th and 15th, we have Sinister Creature Con. It's Scottish Rite Center in Sacramento, California. Includes all things horror, including filmmakers, makeup, haunted attraction engineers, and actors. Sponsored in part by the Cemeterium Haunted House and Dire World Scare Park. Featured guest includes Ted Raimi, Scott McDonald, Marky Ramone, and Ubi Bowl.
Yeah.
Sinister Creature Con.
They all can't be winners.
Yes, Sinister Creature Con Sacramento.com for more info on that.
That is a hell of a domain.
Yes.
And finally, November 9th through 11th, November 11th through the 9th, because it's a time travelers convention.
Yay! That's coming up here.
That's coming here, yes. But no, it is November 9th through 11th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It is the Legendary Haunt Tour. Not a lot of details right now, but you can look at more at legendaryhaunttour.com. 2 T's in there. Get it right, people.
Yep.
All right. So that brings us to our topic du jour. But first things first, we do have to say that, yes, we are back home.
Yay!
We are back home. We had a great time in St. Louis.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
Enjoyed 2 different escape rooms while we were there. We checked out a couple of escape games. Mm-hmm. And we will have those reviews on Garbage Horror eventually. I've still got to edit all the previous reviews we did. Yeah. And then we've got a couple more we've got to record before we get to those.
Yeah, it's going to be a while.
It's going to be a while. But we will do it, we promise. Also, to those in the United States, happy 4th of July weekend. Hope your summer is going excellent. It is so hot here. It's like here in New Orleans. It feels like the intro to Blazing Saddles. But yes, hope your summer's going great. We're spending most of our time doing haunt-related stuff.
Pretty sure you are too.
You guys are too. So be safe while doing this, especially if you are out working in the heat or playing with fireworks. Yeah. Be safe, stay hydrated, and don't blow yourself up.
That sounds like
I
good
think that's
advice
that works great for both fireworks and haunt stuff, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that works either way. So no matter what you're doing, there's your sound advice. Happy to help. So yes, branding. Yeah. Not what they do to the cattle. Yeah. Though it might as well be sometimes.
Well, it kind of is.
Yeah, it kind of is, I guess.
No, it's related.
Yeah, it is. But we're not branding ourselves like that. Would be quite painful.
Okay, so some people do get haunt tattoos from the haunts that they work at. So, you know...
You know what?
We're just going to drop this line.
Let's just drop that line of line of inquisition, because it's not going anywhere pleasant.
No.
But yes, what is Brandon? What is branding? Blah, 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 blah. What is Brandon? Brandon is a guy I met once.
Actually, it was a girl, but you know...
But anyways, to quote Ashley Friedling, I had never heard his name before until this, but he had a really great quote on what is branding. Mm-hmm. And he's apparently a digital marketer and consultant. He said, a brand is the sum total of how someone perceives a particular organization. Branding is about shaping that perception.
Right.
Very, very simple, very elegant way of stating what is going on here. So you have your brand. Sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead. No. You have your brand, which is what people think of you.
Right.
And branding is all the things you do to change that perception.
Right. So what is the difference between branding and marketing? Since last week was about marketing.
Yeah. Marketing is part of branding, basically. Right. With branding, we're looking at everything that you're doing. Everything from the experience you're creating to, how you're presenting yourself on social media. And marketing is a very key part of branding. It is your chance to sort of get that initial impression on people. Mm-hmm. But branding comes from more holistic. The one way to look at it is this. Marketing is what you tell people.
Right.
Your brand is what they think about you.
Right.
And how they receive it. And the branding is everything you do, marketing and not marketing, that shifts that brand. Basically, think about it this way. If someone comes to your haunt and has a terrible time, that's terrible branding too. It's not terrible marketing, it's terrible branding.
Yeah.
Because they're going to think those guys are crap.
Yeah.
There's a bad brand that you do not want.
I don't want to see anything else they're ever going to do.
Nope, I don't care what they're giving away. I'm never going again. Yes. So basically, marketing is definitely a part of branding, but it is not the entirety of it. In fact, I would say it's only, as far as what actually forms people's opinions, only a small portion. However, it is the part you most directly control.
Right.
So it is still very, 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 very important to actually follow through on it. Okay. Now, I've got this really great list here. It was written by... what is up with the names this week? My God, man.
You found them.
I know. Inakshi Sharma at Brandon New, a great site that talks about the 10 parts of a brand. So we're going to cover the 10 things that go into a brand and just sort of touch on them very, very briefly, and then talk about how you work on changing those. The elements of it you can control, so to speak. First is brand identity. This is how people recognize you.
Yeah.
This is your logo. This is your name. This is everything that makes people connect your message with you.
Right.
So if it's a specific color scheme, that can be part of your brand identity. If it's a sound effect, for example, or a music style or something, it can connect with it too. House of Shock, their brand identity is pentagrams all in the place.
Yeah.
Is a key part of it.
And fire.
So yes. That's their brand identity. The brand image is how people think of the brand. Now this one's a bit tricky, but take a moment, close your eyes, and think about what you want people to think about when they hear your name.
Okay.
What do they connect it with?
Right.
Is it a very scary haunt? Is it a fun one? Is it a family thing? Or is it a more adult or not child friendly? What are people thinking about?
So this is more like the genre you're in.
Well, it's not just the genre. It's literally everything they think about.
Okay.
It's the image they concoct. It also has to deal with the quality of it. Do they associate your name with a good haunt?
Right.
Do they associate it with a bad haunt? Is it something that they've had a terrible experience at or a good one? So it's a little bit of everything. Brand positioning. This is one of the trickier ones because the position of your brand has to be relative to your competitors.
Right.
So if you're in an area with no competitors, your brand positioning is we're the damned industry here.
Yeah.
we are the market. Shut up. And if so, wow, lucky you.
Yeah, because you don't have to work as hard because if you're the only haunted house for like 2 hours.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah.
But this is where you sit in relationship to your competitors.
Right.
Are you more, like I said, adult? Like, when I'm thinking locally here, I'm thinking like House of Shock versus Mortuary.
Yeah.
We're going to use our local examples a great deal. I position the House of Shock as being more adult-oriented than the Mortuary, where the Mortuary is more family-friendly. As far as haunted attractions go, it definitely is.
Yeah.
The House of Shock does the major stage show. That's a big part of their differentiation.
Right.
But the Mortuary is differentiated and positioned different because they have an actual old mortuary.
Right.
So it's all about where you are in the marketplace, and this can be cost differentiation. It can be the style of haunt you're doing. A haunted hayride, for example, is very different from a walk-through haunted house. It is. So this is all about your position in the marketplace, and specifically, and more to the point on this, though, it's are you higher tier or lower tier than your competitors? And there's nothing wrong with being lower tier if you price for it, for example. Right. So be thinking about that. Brand equity is the next element, and that is how much value is in the brand. And this is very, very difficult because brand equity is built over time. It's not something you're going to come out of the gate with. Right. Brand new haunt, do all the advertisements you want, you get your name out there, everyone might know who you are, but you don't have any equity in it because at that point they haven't had any time to really get very strong feelings about it. Right. These are things that develop.
Yeah, it's like putting equity in your house to make it better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This takes time. So if you have a haunt that's been around for 10 years or 30 years or so, and you've been really honing in on your branding, you probably have a pretty good amount of equity in it. Right. And you can actually use that equity. Equity can be spent, as we're going to discuss a little bit down the road here. You can spend some of that equity and open up a new attraction under the same name. You can do an escape room using the same name, for example. Right. You can take some of that equity, as long as it works with the brand, and spend it on new things, and that way you don't have to completely rebrand when you do a new attraction.
Right. It's like 13th Gate, knowing, customers know that they are a quality haunt. So whenever you go to their escape rooms, you expect a quality immersive experience versus going to like a laser tag arena that has an escape room where you don't expect as much detail.
Exactly. So yes, you can use some of that equity. Brand experience is next. And the brand experience is basically what experiences that people have with your brand. And for us in this industry, it's basically what kind of experiences have customers have. If they're having, trouble finding parking every time they get there, they wait in line for 3 hours and walk past the stinky porta potty on the way in.
Right.
And then they get in, and then they have to wait in line forever. And then it's like a 5-minute haunt that's not particularly great. That's a terrible experience.
Yeah.
And this is a part that you cannot control through marketing.
Right.
You have to control this with the quality and efficiency of your haunt. Mm-hmm. You cannot market your way out of a bad experience.
Right.
But the brand experience is basically what people think of in terms of what happened to them when they engage with your brand.
Yeah.
Did they have a good time? Was it money and time well spent? If not, there's a problem. There's a big problem. Next up is brand differentiation. Basically, what makes you unique in your market. And we're going to have a pretty lengthy chat about this issue further down. But yeah, long story short, what makes you different from your competitors?
Right.
Something to be thinking about. We're going to put a pin in that and come back to it. Brand communication. How is the brand communicated? How do you let people know what your brand stands for? This is the marketing component primarily here. How are you doing flyers? Mm-hmm. Are you doing TV and radio spots? How are you communicating this? Because this is actually part of your brand, is the how you connect. If you are like our haunt and you communicate primarily through flyers and websites
and word of mouth,
then that's very different than a haunt that has all the money in the world and can buy all the TV spots they want.
TVs and billboards and
all that stuff, yeah.
Targeted advertising online.
Yeah, exactly. So how you communicate is a key part of it. Be thinking about that and how it reflects upon your brand. If you want to be known as one of the big shots, that's part of your brand. We're the big guys. We're the top dogs in the market.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have to communicate that through channels that indicate it.
Right.
You're not going to, you can build up and become the top dog through purely guerrilla marketing and flyers and some word of mouth. It's not easy, but you can do it, but don't hinge your brand on it if you do that.
Right.
Okay. Brand gap is next. Let's write the pentultimate on this list. That's the difference between what you promise and what you provide. This is really important one.
Yeah.
Guys, pay attention to this one. This is huge. If you go on the radio waves and you promise the scariest haunted house imaginable, you're gonna poo yourself if you come to our haunt.
Yeah.
You'll never make it out. Blah 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 blah. And it's rabbits and kittens in there.
Yeah.
Which, granted, rabbits can be pretty scary. But if it's all rabbits and kittens in the haunt and the scares are missing and nothing's connecting, then there's a huge differential between what you promised and what you said you were going to do and what you actually delivered on.
Right. We have a gigantic multi-warehouse haunted house.
Threw it in 10 minutes. Oh, God, yes. That was one of the worst ones.
Yes.
Yeah, promised the largest haunted attraction on the Gulf Coast. I believe one of the things they said.
It's like 150.
Yeah, it was insanity.
Yeah.
Threw it in 10 minutes.
Yep.
Not. That's
yes,
a big.
They had the space, but they weren't using it all.
No, they were not. So that's a big part of it. And remember here, what you promise does not necessarily mean what you directly promise.
Right.
It means what you imply too. Because like I said, that one we were just talking about where it was a big, they're talking about 150,000 square foot haunted attraction or whatever. Well, remember, it was a 6-figure square footage on that haunt. It was giant. The promise of that isn't just that you're going to have a building that's that size. The promise is that I'm going to have to spend a lot of time going through this haunt.
Right.
There's a lot of haunt here.
Yeah, if it doesn't take me more than 45 minutes to get through it, that size, then I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah, basically, think about what the promises you are making are implying and what the customer can reasonably infer from it. Because if you're not meeting those promises, they're going to be disappointed. It's going to hurt your brand.
Yeah.
And finally, brand extension. Things that you can do with your brand. Think of this as the flexibility of your brand.
Yeah.
If you have a brand which solely is good for a haunted attraction and cannot be expanded into other areas, it doesn't have good brand extension. It's not a flexible brand.
Right.
But if you have one that you can take that branding and open an escape game, open a zombie paintball thing, do other things with it, it's much more valuable as a brand.
Right.
So be thinking about making sure that your brand is something you can expand upon. Mm-hmm. That you're not just locked into doing this one attraction with it. Because I see this mistake made by a lot of haunted houses, actually.
Yeah.
Where they'll pick names and they'll pick identities. Where not only is it only good for a haunted attraction, it's only good for that specific one. They couldn't do like 13th Gate did. We'll go to them constantly as an example of doing this right, because they have very, very good branding overall. They were able to open up an attraction, the Necropolis, right across the street.
Right.
Use Necropolis at 13th Gate, keep the 13th Gate branding.
Yeah.
But have a new attraction under the umbrella, because 13th Gate is a broad enough idea.
Yeah.
And as we learned from Dwayne, it's effectively meaningless in terms of it has no inherent meaning. So, but they've built it up as a brand that is synonymous with quality haunted attraction and quality attractions.
Right.
And that enabled them to do that and make that pivot very, very successfully.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if, because 13th Gate is underneath the umbrella of Midnight Productions.
Yes.
And I would be interested to see if they advertise Midnight Productions to the movie industry, because they have a lot of films that come and film there differently than the haunted house. And if that's something that more haunts that want to host movies could do.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good point.
Is to set up a differentiation from the beginning that, we're a haunted house, but we also do movie set designs.
Yeah, we also
quality.
do. Yeah, I can see that. Okay. So, branding, this brings us to how do you make this work? How do you have all these components in a brand, and how do you build a haunted attraction brand that is successful?
Right.
And my standard for success, by the way, is that you have a brand that people associate with quality and they actively want to go to. They seek it out and they want to go to it.
Right.
That, to me, is what is success in haunted attraction branding. Because a lot of industries, like if Coca-Cola, we were sitting here talking to Coke.
Yeah.
The real metric the first metric would be, okay, close your eyes and name all 3 sodas.
Yeah.
And if Coke is not like one of the top 3, Coke's branding is top of mind awareness is not as important in this industry because we're only open for 6 weeks. It's still very important.
Right.
You asked me to name 3 haunted attractions in the New Orleans area. Mm-hmm. I should name House of Shock in one of the top 3. Yeah. I should name it pretty much straight away. And if I didn't, it would be a failure. So top of mind awareness is important, but it's more important to have a brand associated with quality. Mm-hmm. Because we're not asking people to buy a 50-cent soda.
Right.
We're asking people to spend a lot of money and seek out, and a lot of money and a lot of time to go to these attractions. It's a night. It's an evening to go to a haunted attraction. We seem to lose sight of this. The price is not ticket alone.
No.
So think about it that way. Branding is done, though, through the entire customer experience. Basically, every time a customer or potential customer, doesn't even have to be an actual one,
right,
touches or interacts with your brand, that is part of branding. Obviously, that includes advertising, promotion, and marketing.
Yes.
It also includes word of mouth, what their friends are saying.
Right.
It includes social media, what they're seeing on Facebook. Not just your promotional posts, and not just your Facebook, but what other people are talking about on social media with regards to it.
Right.
It has to do with the cost of the attraction itself. And once again, that cost is both monetary and time.
Yes.
Never lose sight of that. It deals with the experience at the haunt. How good was it? How high quality was it? How scared did they get? Was it the right level of scared? Do they feel like they got their money's worth? And it also is the experience after the haunt. Mm-hmm. We tend to lose sight of this in the industry, but I know we go to at least between a dozen and 2 dozen haunts a year.
Right.
And what is our haunt experience? We go there, we spend 15, 20, whatever minutes going through the haunt, and then we talk about it for hours afterward.
Yeah.
We have conversations, and one of the reasons we started doing the haunt reviews is because we're sitting there talking our ass off about it anyways, we might as well record it.
Yeah.
One of the reasons we started doing those all those years ago.
Yeah. Very
similar to what I could do this podcast, actually.
Yeah.
Very similar logic, actually, now I think about it. But yeah, the point is, that experience after the haunt is also very important to the branding.
Right.
So think about that as well. So long and short of it is, you want to make sure that every step in there is consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's consistent in a way that makes people want to go or come back to your haunt.
Right.
It has to be consistent in a positive way. So if it consistently sucks,
yeah,
then I don't care how consistent your branding message is. You're not going to make any sales.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to think about how you can take all those steps, some of which you do not directly control,
mm-hmm.
and find a way to have a consistent brand and a consistent image for yourself. And that is tough.
It is.
That's very, very tough. So how do you do that? Well, we did the marketing questions that you have to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to do some branding questions that you have to answer.
That sounds reasonable enough.
So take some time. If you want to pause this podcast and think about these things as we're going through it, feel free, but we won't notice.
Yeah.
We promise. But long and short of it is, try to answer these questions as clearly and as concisely as you can. First, what does my brand look like? This is really important.
Yeah.
Because, and this is something we see haunts get wrong all the time. A lot of haunts locally have very inconsistent visual branding.
Mm-hmm.
What colors are you using? What fonts are you using? What does your logo look like? Is it a big, stencil font?
Yeah.
That looks very military-esque, if you will?
Right.
Or is it like every heavy metal band with the blood drips or something like that? What does it look like? What fonts are you using? What does your logo look like? Do you have just a single logo?
Right, something that's easily printed on shirts and things and that's recognizable as you on
Everything.
All of your branding.
Yeah. We see so many haunts that will have one logo for their flyers.
Yeah.
One logo for their building.
Yeah.
One logo for their t-shirts they're selling.
Right.
Or even multiple. If they're selling multiple shirts, they'll sell
right.
countless, one different logo on each one.
Right.
And they'll have a different logo on any shared sponsorship they do.
Well, and the other thing is that what I see a lot of haunts do is just use their name in a fancy font.
Yes.
And that isn't really a full logo to me. To me, it's also an image. And it can be.
Yeah.
But
there are a lot of great logos which really are just a name in a fancy font.
Right.
I mean, think like Pepsi, for example.
Yeah.
Also does that a lot. But yeah, you're absolutely right. If you're going to use just a special font and you're not going to add an image or a visual element, then you have to ask the question, how do we make it distinctive enough?
Right.
Because that is actually very, very difficult. Especially when we're in an industry where every attraction on the planet seems to use, and guilty, white letters on a black background.
Or
for the logos.
Yeah. And I think there's maybe a dozen different fonts that people like to choose for this industry. And that might be because we have so few advertising and branding people that work in the industry.
Yeah, and it really blows my mind because advertising and marketing is such a creative field.
Right.
It seems to have a lot of overlap in terms of interests with haunting. Because, I mean, one of the reasons I got into marketing, one of the reasons I got into advertising was because it was so creative.
Yeah.
And it was a chance to, flex my artistic wings a little bit without, worrying about eating ramen the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And have a big boy job when I got out of college.
How's that going for you?
Shut up. No one asked you. Shut up, woman. I'm doing fine for myself, just not in marketing.
I know.
Oh, God. Anyway, now that we just completely blown apart my life story.
Sorry.
It's okay. But yeah, the question is, how do you make your haunt visually distinctive?
Yeah.
And that is very, very tough, like I said, because we have a lot of same colors. As you noted, font choices, we're not the most creative industry.
Right.
So take some time, hire a logo designer if you don't have a really, really professionally done logo. Hire someone to design one for you. Mm-hmm. It really isn't that much money.
Yeah.
You can get a decent logo designer for a few $100s.
Mm-hmm.
And long and short of it is that is something that will pay dividends because once it's done, it's done. Until you do a rebranding down the road,
right?
It's done. You've got your logo. And hopefully they didn't screw you and they sent it in a format you can use on everything from your billboards to your T-shirts.
Right.
So if you got that, then it's over. It's done. How do you make it But yeah, you've got to make yourself visually distinctive, and it's got to be visually distinctive in a way that makes customers want to come.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what does your brand sound like? Is the next question. That is very, 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 very tough to do because a lot of haunts don't do TV or radio.
Right.
But I bet you do YouTube.
Yeah. Well, and actually the local ones here, Mortuary and House of Shock, do radio ads here.
And they are absolutely terrible in this element of it because...
They are, because it sounds like the same guy recorded both.
Yes, I think it probably was.
And
the movie phone guy.
Yeah. For
this September. That was Batman.
Spooky.
That was Batman.
It's the spooky movie phone guy. It's not just the movie phone guy. It's the haunted house version. Yes. Get it right. Yeah. But no, and a lot of times they'll play them back to back because I'm one of the few people who still listens to the actual radio.
Wait, we have a radio? Where do we have a radio?
Yes.
Is it in the car?
Yes.
Oh my God. I had no idea.
But, so yeah, a lot of the times the ads are back to back and they sound exactly the same.
Yeah. And that's not a good prize because if you, with those radio ads, and I've actually listened to them before, I've heard the spots, if you, well, I guess blindfolding me wouldn't make any difference. But if I did a blind listening, I would not be able to tell you which was. I don't know why I call them a blind listening.
I don't know either.
Don't know why. Oh God, this whole podcast is going off the rails.
Yeah.
Cut. Okay. We're back. No, we're not. But yeah, long story short, if you removed like the little clip at the end where they say the name and the location,
right.
I couldn't tell you who was who half the time. I really couldn't. And that's a problem because you want that to sound distinctive. Even if you don't do radio ads or TV ads, you probably do YouTube, you probably do something where people are hearing your haunt.
Right.
And it needs to have something distinctive to it. And yeah, I love Haunt Movie Phone Guy.
Yeah.
I think he's got an amazing voice. And we've actually met him at HauntCon, the guy that does a lot of them at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've met him. He's a great dude and I love his work. But at the same time, we need to be original here, and it needs to be original in a way that once again makes people want to go and check out your haunt.
Right.
All right. Next, what is your brand's personality? Now, this isn't the same thing as a character for the record. Like, we have a lead character at our haunt.
Right.
House of Shock has a lead character.
Yes.
Lord Belial is theirs. You can have a character, that's fine. That's not necessary. It could be the personality, it could be the persona for the haunt, but it might not be at the same time.
Yeah.
What is the persona for your haunt? If your haunt were on the match game or something, the dating game or something, how would you describe it to a potential suitor? Well, he likes long walks on the beach. And,
yeah.
How do you describe the personality of your haunt? What does it say to people? What if your haunt is talking to me right now? What would it tell me? What would it say to me?
Mm-hmm.
What does it say to your customers? And how does it say it? Is it is it like me? It uses pontificated words, or in that case, I'm misusing a long word. Does it like to pontificate? But you know what I mean, though. It does. How does it communicate? What is its personality? What are its mannerisms? Is it meek and shy? Is it big and burly? Is it like a little kid that's coming up and just being creepy at you?
Right.
What is the personality of it? And you can do a lot here. And I know, like, half the haunts out there, if I were asked to describe their personality, it'd just be big, burly, scary guy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of room to play with this.
Yeah.
You can have a haunt that uses, overtly intelligent personality. Its whole thing is that it's a smart haunt. The persona of the branding is very intelligent. It's not all gravelly voice Batman.
Yeah.
You can do that. You just have to make a conscious effort to have your brand be that. And finally, what makes your brand unique in your market? All right. Now look, before you answer that, if the thing you just said in your head is, we're the scariest, please slap yourself.
Yeah.
Because that isn't going to do you any good.
Right.
Here's the thing. You may damn well have the scariest haunt in your area.
Right.
Congratulations. I'm happy for you. It may be a situation where if 100 people go to your haunt and your competitor's haunt, all 100 of them are going to say yours was scarier.
Yeah.
You might be unflappably, no doubt the scariest haunt. But here's the thing. Every haunt says they're the scariest. It's a form of puffery that is completely unoriginal in this industry.
Right.
Everyone says it. It's not a unique selling point.
No.
Because when everyone's saying it, and everyone's putting that into their branding, it lacks believability.
Right.
And it lacks distinctiveness. So what is your unique selling point? Right. Now, there's a lot of things you can do with this. Mm-hmm. It could be your theme. Do you have a unique and unusual theme? Mm-hmm. Do you have a building like the mortuary that is super actual creepy?
Well, also the mortuary changes its theme every year. So you never know what you're going to get when you go. Yeah. Which is one of the reasons we go back every year.
Yeah. What is your unique selling point? It could also be your pricing. Mm-hmm. It could be family friendliness or lack of family friendliness.
Right.
It could be that it's an aggressive touch haunt like Eastern State Pen.
Oh, also like Rise's new attraction, the Asylum.
Oh, yeah.
Which was awesome.
A very highly interactive haunt.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It could be just about anything.
Yeah.
But what makes your attraction unique in the marketplace? Mm-hmm. Take some time and think about that one. And like I said, if all you got is that you're scarier, then you got to work harder. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You can't make that your distinctive point because, like I said, every haunt advertises that they're the scariest, baddest, pants poopingest.
Yeah, I would also say that because so many haunts get onto list of we are the top blah 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 in this area, I think that loses some value too.
Haunt list, I think, and we've talked about it in the last episode a fair amount. Mm-hmm. It's definitely something to include in your marketing. It can be a differentiated selling point, but you are also right. You have to be careful about leaning on it too hard.
Right.
Because even though it can be something that might make people go, oh, maybe I should check them out.
Yeah.
People who go to a lot of haunts understand that those lists are not always super meaningful or helpful.
Right. Well, and especially, I think that saying, okay, we've made the top 2 for the past 5 years is different than saying we were the number 1 10 years ago.
Oh, God, yes.
But I see people doing that.
Yeah. Well, it's like when I go to my local Five Guys. I love Five Guys. I love Five Guys. But they have on the walls there all of their best burger award type things they won. And there is nothing later than 2010.
No.
Nothing in there. I'm like, geez, what have you guys been sucking for the past decade?
Yeah.
What the hell happened?
Well, I know that...
And it's because they haven't updated it, obviously.
Right.
I'm sure they've won plenty of other awards.
Yeah.
It's just they haven't updated their branding, their marketing on that. But yeah, definitely. That's a very valid point there. Make sure any accolades you put on there are recent.
Yeah. Exactly.
If it's more than, I would say, 3 years old, don't put it on there.
Exactly.
Win more awards. You need new ones. I don't know. But yeah.
Because somebody like us is going to look it up.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go, oh, that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah. But yeah, find what makes your attraction unique and put it out there. Mm-hmm. So long and short of it is, if you can answer those questions about your brand, odds are you'll have a good approach to the marketing side of it.
Yeah.
And the marketing side is what we're focusing on this because, let's be honest, it's the part we control the most directly.
Right.
I can't necessarily... See, and this is one of the frustrating things about this industry is Coca-Cola knows every can of Coke is going to taste like the one before it.
Yeah.
They got this manufacturing thing down. No two haunted attraction experiences are alike.
They shouldn't be.
They shouldn't be. And they definitely aren't. Yeah. So one person can go through your haunt, even if you set it up beautifully and have a great time, but the person behind them might not.
Yeah.
Their tastes, their preferences, whatever, might be different, and they might have just got a crap run on the scares.
Mm-hmm.
It's happened. I've made it through a couple of haunts without anyone actually targeting me.
Yeah.
So, think about that. But the consistency in the branding is the key. You cannot have different elements say different things. You can't have your marketing saying one thing, the inside of the haunt being completely different from the marketing.
Right.
And the signage and the area around the building being completely different from that.
Yeah.
That makes it very, very wildly inconsistent. And it makes it very difficult to get a unified message. Basically, treat your branding like it were a billboard. Mm-hmm. You want a very simple, very short, and very compelling message that you hammer on consistently. So that way, people don't have to think too hard about your brand. Right. They see your name, they associate it with quality, they go to your haunt, they give you money.
Yes.
It's that simple. It's what we want.
Mm-hmm.
Also, another good piece of advice, don't start over every year.
Right.
This is something that we're getting better at as an industry. I'm noticing this more and more, but it's still something that a lot of haunts haven't quite learned. Don't start over every year. People will forget a lot about your branding in 10 months if they don't interact or have a touch point with it.
Yeah.
They need to touch your brand at regular intervals throughout the year, if at all possible.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're not going to spend lots of money in advertising during that time, but you still have your social media account. You still have your email lists. Mm-hmm. And increasingly, haunts are doing mid-season and off-season events.
Right. I would also say you could, hold contests and stuff during the off-season. Real quick to touch on social media.
Okay.
Because I know that maintain branding over social media is a big thing. You can't really control all of your actors. You're not going to be able to. But if you're the owner, I would suggest having a different persona for your branding purposes than your personal one.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, a lot of people don't do that. I've seen people do that, and I've seen people do it in such a way that they will talk on the brand site like it's their personal one.
Yes.
And it makes it very difficult for me to want to go to their stuff.
I think I know who you're talking about,
yes.
too. Someone from St. Louis.
Yeah, well, yeah. But it, especially when you're talking about hot button topics on your brand site like it was personal page.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just want to avoid that because some people will not come. Yes. We're reviewers, we're going to come.
Yeah.
But a lot of people won't.
Yeah. And that's one thing definitely to keep in mind is that everything you put out on your official brand pages has to be on target for that brand.
Yeah.
If you have a Facebook page for your haunt, which you obviously do, if you do not, you're probably listening to the wrong podcast. Yeah. Can I recommend a good Facebook podcast or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. But you have a Facebook page. Make sure every piece of information that goes out there or everything you post is on target for that brand.
Right.
There's one haunt nearby that we go to sometimes that is very, very, I would say, overly transfixed by horror movies.
Yeah.
They really cross the line into copyright trademark infringement a lot too. But anyways, one of the things they do that's pretty smart during the off-season is they keep having contests and conversations about horror movies during the off-season.
Right.
It just posted recently something about, hey, who's your favorite horror movie villain and why?
Right.
And there's a long thread of comments that people are discussing. And it's a way to interact with the brand, but it's not necessarily a direct marketing message. They're not trying to get a sale.
Right.
They're just trying to keep their name and keep people coming to their Facebook page. So that way when September rolls around and they need to ramp up the marketing machine, they're not starting from ground zero with their branding.
Right.
And that's what you want to do.
Yeah, and you definitely don't want anything you put out there to hurt your brand.
Exactly. And doing... basically keep your personal stuff on your personal page, people.
Yeah.
I mean, I know...
Or at least lock your Facebook down so it's just family and close friends.
Yeah. Don't blur your personal and your business side ever. Yeah. Because your personal branding is going to be different than your business branding.
Yes. You can ask Chick-fil-A about this.
Yes, you can. Yeah, so basically be smart about it. Also, make your brand as flexible as possible. We touched on this previously, but long story short, you want to make sure that your brand can move on to do other things if you want it or need it to.
Right.
And that can be a great challenge if you have already got a brand you've invested in that doesn't have that flexibility.
Right.
So you might want to think about changing your name or setting up an umbrella to go over it.
Yeah.
So-and-so presents the attraction, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sort of go above it. But long and short of it is, you want a brand that's flexible because you're going to dump a lot of energy into this brand. You're going to spend a lot of marketing dollars trying to get it out there and get exactly the image you want in people's heads. You're going to spend a lot of time making sure your haunt meets those expectations and that people have a good experience with it and continue to associate your brand with quality. And then you're going to, at some point, want to do another attraction, whether it's another haunted attraction or something like paintball or escape rooms or whatever. And you're not going to want to start over.
Right.
You just don't. It's too much time. It's too much money. It's too much headache. And it makes it very difficult to launch that new attraction if you have to start from ground zero. Just think about how much of a struggle it was day zero, launching your haunt and trying to get people to come, getting people interested in it, the effort you had to expend.
Right.
There's no reason to go over it again. If you make your brand flexible, you can very trivially expand it so that it serves as an umbrella and at least gives anything new you do an edge. You can use it as that step up. It's way, way, way better to have one brand cover multiple things than it is to need multiple brands.
Yeah.
And that's the other problem.
Sounds like good logic.
It is. And the other problem isn't just necessarily the effort it takes to launch a new brand.
Mm-hmm.
It's brands require effort and maintenance. There was a really great story. I can't remember the guy's first name, but the head of Wrigley Gum was on a train. Someone recognized him and sat down beside him and said, "Hey, your company currently controls, 90% of the chewing gum market." This was back when they did.
Yeah.
Is that true? I guess it is. Then why do you spend so much money on advertising? Why do you spend so much money on marketing? And he thought about it a moment and said, "How fast do you think this train is going?" "Oh, it's probably going around 90 miles an hour. Why?" Do you think we should cut off the engine now?"
Yeah.
It's the same logic. It takes so much effort to maintain a brand too. And now that if you have multiple brands, you split and you have to maintain everything.
Right.
And on 13th Gate, we talked about their Midnight Productions umbrella thing that they do. They don't really promote the Midnight Production side that we've seen.
They don't.
In fact, the only way I'm aware of it is because it's their website domain.
Yeah.
At least it was until super recently. I don't know if it still is.
Yeah.
But that's the only way I even knew it existed. They promote the 13th Gate brand, and dear God, that is on everything.
Yeah.
They've done good with that.
Yeah.
They've got it on their escape room. They've got it on the necropolis. They got it on their main haunt. They've got it on their t-shirts. They've got it on their mugs. They've got it on everything.
Yeah.
Dear God, you can buy it on anything you want there. So yeah, that is a very, very smart way to do it. Bottom line, with haunt branding, it's important to create, this is sort of like the wrap up here, it's important to create a brand that is consistent, distinct, and associated with quality.
Yeah.
You are going to do that through marketing and promotion, but that can only go so far. At the end of the day, the most important thing to your haunt brand is the haunt itself and the quality and the experience people have in it. If it is a unique, fun, quality experience, even without any marketing or promotion, you will build a good brand.
Right.
Now, God help you, that's going to take forever. You're going to want that marketing and promotion in order to really kick it over. But you can. It is the most important thing is the experience. Advertising can indeed sell a bad product. Once.
Yes.
That is it. You cannot do it twice. So, long and short, make sure your haunt quality is up to snuff and that people are having a good experience. One thing I encourage every haunter to do, have surveys, have post-mortems with customers whenever and wherever you can. Learn what they like, learn what they didn't like, learn what was working, what was not working, and then iterate. Make sure that experience is good. If people are having bad experiences, all the marketing in the world won't save you.
Right.
So in the end, if you want a good haunt brand, build a good haunt. build, staff, run, and operate a good haunt.
There you go.
Mystery of haunt branding is solved. All that other stuff is very important, though. Definitely do take the time.
You could have done that in 2 minutes.
Yes, we could have. But you know what? It's a 50-minute podcast. But yes, the quality of your haunt is the single most important thing.
Right.
So never forget that whenever you're working on it, that what's going on in the walls of your haunt is what will eventually really determine your brand.
Yeah.
It's that simple. All the other stuff is important. You definitely want to be visually distinctive. You want people to, know your name and instantly recognize your logo and all that stuff. That's very important too. Not saying it isn't. Just saying that the long short of it is the haunt's the most important part.
Yep.
Anything else? I think we've meandered through this topic long enough.
I think so.
Well, on that note, everyone, thank you very much for wasting the hour with us as we muddled through this. My branding Tourette's did not save me today, it seems. But on that note, definitely do take a moment. Follow us on Twitter at Haunt Weekly. Follow us on Facebook at Haunt Weekly. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. Basically, tell everyone. And until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this has been Haunt Weekly, episode number 83, talking about haunt branding basics. We'll see you guys next week as we are doing the news. See you then.